Peg Keogh here from College Aid Pro. Today, we want to talk about your college budget. At CAP, that's exactly what we call it, my college budget. So you might be cringing a little bit because I know the word budget is not something that a lot of people to think about, but it's really important in this college financing, figuring out your strategy to pay for college, to think about this. Basically, to think about what can you afford to pay for college? And we try and simplify it and break it down for families by asking the question, what can you afford for a year of college? And hopefully what we're doing is multiplying that by 4 and adding a little bit of inflation. What are the parts of what you can afford? Let's break it down so maybe it doesn't seem so overwhelming. So the first place to start is, do you have a college savings account? Do you have a 529 or a Coverdale or a prepaid tuition plan? If you do, whatever the balance of that is part of what you can afford. You also might have other assets as a parent earmarked for college. They might not be in a college savings account, but it might be some stock options you have, or just a brokerage account that you've been putting money away for years or just started, and in your mind, that's earmarked to pay for college. So those are the assets, that piece of it. Then there's also cash flow. You want to look at how much money you have coming in every month, what's left over, and can you allocate any of that while your child is in college to pay for college costs. So that's through cash flow. A nice thing to think about, and I say to parents all the time, you want to think about what you're currently spending for your child for either sports or music, or you might have some monthly ongoing expenses for your child that are going to go away when they go to college. So that's money that you're used to spending on them that maybe you can continue to spend. You just change it to being spent for college. If you're paying for any sort of private school, that's money you're used to spending that can just go right toward your college budget. The other piece is your kids. You might want to have your kids to have some skin in the game through cash flow. So it might be they've had a summer job and some of that's going to be used to pay for college, say to cover some of the books every semester. Or you might want to think about while they're in school, the summer after freshman and sophomore year, and maybe the summer before starting college, you're going to assume they're going to make a certain amount of money, and some of that is going to be earmarked to pay for college costs. These are all decisions that you get to make as a family, but that's another avenue through cash flow. Another bucket would be outside help. A lot of people have grandparents or maybe a brother who didn't have kids or something like that. Somebody, a best friend who has an account that they want to help with, or has just said, hey, I'd like to help to pay for education. So if that's the case, that's another bucket. So it's really important if you have a high school child to start getting your head around this. And I know the word budget, like I said at the beginning, I love it because I'm a financial planner and that's just me. But for most people, it's not something they like to think about. But trust me, if you start to get your hands around this, it will really help you understand affordability, because once you can look at the total cost of college minus some discounts that you hopefully will get from the college, then you want to look at what can I afford from what's left over there. And then finally, have I paid for all of it, or is there a delta there? And if there is, which there is for a lot of families, you're going to want to figure out how you can cover that difference. But without understanding what you can afford, you're going through this blindly. And that's why all the families we work with, that's one of the first questions we ask. What can you afford for a year of college? So if you haven't thought about this, I strongly encourage you to sit down. If you're married, sit down with your partner. If you're not, start to think about it, and then sit down and talk to your child about it. And you can share whatever information you want to share as far as how much you have saved and how much you're willing to put toward it. But especially if you want your child to have some skin in the game, it's good to have that college money talk. You can't really do that until you've had that college money conversation in your mind and with your partner. So I strongly encourage you to jump on that. And as always, happy planning.